Hello and welcome to the GetResponse List Building Plan. Get your first 1,000 subscribers. My name is Pam Neely, and in this tutorial we're going to talk about how to write your lead magnet. In the prior tutorial you did a bunch of market research that should have exposed you to all sorts of things that your audience is concerned about. You know, we went to YouTube, we went to blogs, we went to Amazon, we went to forums, and so you should have at least 3 and possibly more than a dozen different ideas of topics that people are really concerned about and that, issues that they want to know more about. And so now what we want to do is condense what you've learned into a solution to any one of those anxieties or issues that they have. And it's really important that this checklist that you write or this report that you write be fairly short. This is an extremely common way that people get bogged down in their list building is they spend a month, or once I even spent 6 months working on a huge research report. You spend like months writing your lead magnet, and the reality is that people don't want to read a lot, they don't want to book, they don't want to work too hard. They're really looking to you to distill the information that's available and to give them their answers fast. And so if you ever took the time to run like an A/B split test, and some people have, of testing the massive 3-month long report project versus a checklist that took them 3 hours to write, it's not uncommon for the checklist to actually outpull the huge report, i.e. the checklist converts better. And so I want to spare you from a month of writing a huge lead magnet, and we're just going to do this in 2 or 3 hours. And so let's get right into it. Basically, what we want to do is just solve their problem, and we don't want to do that in a concise way. If you solve their problem, they'll trust you, they'll come back to your content, they'll love you, and eventually, if you keep solving their problems, they'll even be willing to buy from you. So what makes a good lead magnet? We've talked about how it's short, but let's quantify that. So I'm looking for us, I'm doing this too, but for all of us to write a lead magnet that's like 2 to 5 pages long. And any more than that is really not necessary at this point. Another thing you want to do is to make it into a PDF when you're done. Making things into a PDF is really easy. You don't need to buy any software. You just go into either Word or in Google Docs, you go to print and then you do save as PDF, and that's all you have to do. It's super easy. And it means that people can't manipulate your document as much. Another thing that's really important, as it mentions down here, is you want to add some information so that people can find you again. It's quite possible that if you do a good job with the lead magnet, that someone who subscribes to your email list will take that lead magnet and pass it along to another person. In marketing lingo, that's called like it going viral. And so if it does go viral, you want to make it easy for people to be able to find you, even if all they've got is that little PDF. Next thing is to make it visual. This just makes it more likely to be read. It makes people more likely to focus on what you've written for them. And so it just makes it easier to digest, basically, in terms of digesting information. At the very least, like it says, you should add a logo. If you don't have a logo, head over to Fiverr and look up, do some searches for logo creation. You can get a decent logo created for $5 to $10 and probably a nice one for like $20 or $30. There's a ton of people who make logos. Like it says, photographs help. There are a lot of free photograph resources. You want to search for copyright-free photographs or copyright-free images. And you can also have a graphic that illustrates an idea or a system. In marketing lingo, those are called infographics. And so if you've got like a system or a concept that you can illustrate in some way, those are really valuable, and they can be just great for lead magnets. If you don't have image editing software like Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop, don't hesitate to get out some magic markers and a piece of paper and draw the concept that you want, and then scan it and put it into the lead magnet. That's actually a really hip, cool way to very much personalize what you're talking about, and people would like it. So here are some ideas for lead magnets for consultants. 10 ways to tell if an SEO consultant knows their stuff. 10 lies most CPAs tell everyone. The ultimate wedding checklist. How to tell if you're ready for a life coach. As you can probably guess, these are all interchangeable. So this could be how to tell if you're ready for a Harley, or the ultimate skydiving checklist. That would be important. 10 lies most doctors tell everyone. These are all good. You could use them for a consultant or affiliate marketer or anyone. The 10 lies and the 5 ways to tell if someone knows their stuff are good if there's a lot of anxiety in the market. And so health does very well with this. Financial issues do very well with this. Anything that people kind of feel dumb at and a little bit anxious about the outcome, those will do well here. So here's some ideas for affiliates. The ultimate gear list. We've got more biggest lies, 10 rules of anything and when to break them, and the definitive guide to internet marketing. Definitive guides do really well in terms of conversion. So if you wanted to write the definitive guide to your niche, that would be probably a bigger report than we want to do. I might take maybe a subtopic that's in your niche. So like the definitive guide to how to write amazing report titles. That would be a good lead magnet. Here are some ideas for e-commerce companies. 15% off. Notice that that's not 10%. 10% is not really enough to get people excited. So if you really do want the name, consider doing 15% off or 20% off. Free gifts are cool, but you want to include a photograph of that free gift. Entry into contests for X numbers worth of merchandise can do very well. I see a lot of sporting goods stores do that, so that may work really well with sporting goods or maybe hobbyist websites. And then you can show people how to use your product in ways they've never thought of before. That's always A, way to get them engaged, B, a way to deliver content, and C, a way to get them to want to buy it. So let's talk about how to get started with this checklist in 25 minutes or less. I want to introduce to you one of my favorite things, which is called the Pomodoro technique. It is based on brain science, and yes, the name Pomodoro is Italian for tomato. But basically the brain science behind the Pomodoro technique is that human beings work well in short, intense bursts of focus and then with a little break in between. The deal is, though, while you're doing that 25-minute interval, you absolutely focus. No checking email, no going to get coffee, no, checking eBay, no responding to the dog barking. If you have children, they need to be taken care of. It's a very focused work session. And the rule is that if you get interrupted, you start the Pomodoro over again. So obviously you're going to need a timer for this. There are a lot of different timers and software programs, and there are a bunch of Pomodoro apps. I do use Simple Pomodoro Timer. That's an iPhone app that was free. They're all good. Use whatever you like. If you've got an egg timer, that'll work beautifully too. You can use the timer on your computer. It's all good. And so what you do is, and what we're going to do as soon as I'm done talking in a couple of minutes, is you're going to sit down, put 25 minutes into writing your lead magnet. This can be really helpful, to frame this as it's just 25 minutes. If you have issues with procrastination, the Pomodoro technique is amazing because all you got to do is just sit down for 25 minutes. Another thing that's enormously helpful is to remind yourself that the bar is very low here. You don't have to finish your lead magnet in 25 minutes. You don't have to write elegant paragraphs. Your grammar school teacher is not going to be reviewing this. It can be messy. You can paste in stuff from your market research. You can have typos. It's a free-for-all. Just get your ideas down on the page. That's all we need from this. And so when you're done, take a little break. 5 minutes is a good break. If you still feel a little burnt out, it's fine to take a 10-minute break. The thing here is don't lose context. You need to certainly rest so you can be sharp again for your next work session, but don't get interrupted so much that you kind of lose track of where you were, because that's really where the productivity comes in. And so in the next work session, you're going to set the clock, and we're going to go in and develop what you've got. You'll probably have at least a couple of paragraphs, even if it's only 2 paragraphs from your first work session. And so then in the second work session, you're going to go flesh that out. You might want to simplify your sentences. If you want, you can start doing some editing. That's okay. You might want to add subheaders, because that way you'll be able to kind of work in an outline sort of thing. And by the way, just writing down an outline in the first one is great. And, just continue to work on developing what you've written in the second Pomodoro. Add research where you want, but be careful about adding too much research, because that can eat up a lot of time really fast. So your 25 minutes will be up really fast. You'll probably have almost a page or even a couple pages by then. And then you're done for this tutorial. Don't worry about not being finished. Again, don't worry about it not being perfect. We've got 2 more work sessions in the next tutorial. And, that's where I'll see you very soon. So I hope that was helpful, and good luck with your first 2 Pomodoros. I am sure you're going to get more done than you might think you will get done now.